All right, welcome to Ionic, Utah, June. We've been chit-chatting a little bit before starting here a little bit, but we'll go around and do quick introductions and community stand-up. My name is Todd Hale. I'm a part-time instructor here at MTech, and we're grateful to them for hosting, letting us use the facilities here. I don't use Ionic in my day-to-day job right now. I used to maintain a PWA that was using the Ionic UI, and then I do consult on the side and worked on some Ionic mobile projects this year and last year, and I got a couple in the pipe right now. So I'll try to stay active with it, and the 2 weeks a year I teach here at MTech is specifically the Ionic week of the Angular module. And so I enjoy coming in and then refreshing, making sure I'm back up to speed with everything every 6 months. We know how that goes, change. In fact, today we're talking about Angular signals. So one of the latest updates. And let's see, I was going to flip us over to, let's get, instead of the inception screen, we'll go here. And let me see, some stuff I'm working on. Lately I've been working on encryption in the browser. So like when you're working in offline mode, being able to save PII, personally identifiable information, sensitive data in the browser so that it can be synced when you reconnect. So got that part of it done, the syncing and storing, or the encrypting and storing. Next thing I'm working on is learning about the service worker version of background sync. And from what I understand, if you do that and your browsers support that, then you don't need to also double up and store stuff yourself and then write it when you get back on the network. You don't have to do all that. Browser will just do it automatically for you. They'll push those API posts when you get online automatically. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, working on. And let me see. Let me see what I can do here with the cameras. Hold on. I'm gonna try to get creative again with this one and share this camera. This was something that should have been doing start. Oh, it's just gonna let me do one or the other. Old school. Let's go this way. We'll go with Ben. And I'll just, just talk loud. It picks it up really well.
Cool. I'm Ben Callahan. I work over at Edigy, just about a block or two away from here. Haven't been doing a lot of Angular or Ionic stuff lately. At work, I've been a little bit closer to the metal, answering questions such as, is 6 and 6.0 the same number? They are not.
Financial world, right?
Yep.
Yeah, precision. All right. You ready?
Sure. Tyler Young. I'm the unemployed bum of the group. Got a whole bunch of people looking at some little apps they want to have done. And it's like, okay, well, I should probably get back into the front end world a little bit and see if I can make some of those happen.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. Sarah.
My name is Sarah. I work as a DevOps engineer for Sphinx Defense. And in my free time, I'm working on an Ionic app that will be an iOS app. And my biggest challenge right now is adding in ads, payment features through the Apple Store.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the person that was with me that's outside, his name is Ken, and he is the one that came up with the idea of the app that I'm building. And he's doing a lot of the, he's actually doing some of the DevOps stuff for this build.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
system
then-
admin stuff.
And who's this down here?
Oh, and this is Rocky. He's my service dog.
Rocky, yeah.
And his job right now is to just make sure that I'm doing okay.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome, thanks. All right, long distance here.
Matthew, just here for the free food.
Yep.
I'm not here that I'm actively looking for contract positions. And then right now I'm trying to get around to creating a hello world Ionic app just to get going.
Mhm.
But I've been life has been interfering with that. But when so my goal is to create the hello world app and then probably start with something like plus codes that something that Google has created for converting converting longitude and latitude into something that's more like an address
Mm-hmm.
or a postal code or something like that. So the app will tell you where you currently are and possibly give a generic directions where you might want to go if you put a second one in.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
I'm Todd. I'm looking for a job now. Was at a startup.
Yeah.
Today I was learning Python, so that's good. There's a company I'm applying for that they only do Python. So, so I have to learn some of that and hopefully not fail miserably. But yeah, TypeScript, React, Angular. I've done them all over the years, and they're all really fun. So I just like to come and learn new things as soon as going on.
Excellent.
I'm Sam Sorensen, and I'm interning for Brett and working on his project. And yeah, I'm just getting more familiar with Ionic and Angular and just learning that.
Yeah, great.
And I'm Brett Palmer. I do Ionic on the side. My day job's more DevOps, enterprise applications, that kind of stuff. Also run one of the DevOps monthly groups that we do. So if you have any DevOps interests, let me know. I'm also a vendor for the state of Utah. So if some of you are looking for contract positions, let me know. They do have some openings. Yeah, and then working with Sam, I've had this small little mobile application. It's a business application that I've been working on off and on, trying to get more of it done. Currently, it integrates with the CRM package, and the focus this summer is to do financial integration, with QuickBooks, for automating invoicing and that kind of stuff. So it's fun stuff.
Nice.
And it runs in Amazon. So
Yeah. All right. Excellent. All right. Cool. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah. Well, I'll go through. I don't have a lot of material, but it'll get us kind of going down a path. And then when I'm done with the simple signal presentation I have, we can just talk about other things and kind of ask me anything, and we can live code some stuff even with Brett's help and Ben's help. We can get through some stuff. Yeah, and let me see. And Brett and Ben are official co-hosts also, along co-host, and then Corey MacArthur is not here. All right, let's flip over to. I've got a document here that I have been following that for Angular Signals. It's put out by the Angular Architects team, and it's been great. And then I've been reading other blogs and stuff to also simplify and figure out how to turn off zones and all that stuff. As you move away from the zone change detection and all that, you want to lighten the app if you don't need that. So we'll talk about some of those things. Let me see. I'll stay in Chrome and flip over to Signals and Angular. So yeah, I'll make sure to pass this link around, but this is on angulararchitects.io. And yeah, it's the future of change detection. It I mean, they talk about it not only being cleaner and simpler to use and read, but it's also more performant because the old zone-based option for change detection wasn't real exact science. Yeah. But so that when you're using signals, everything's explicit. I've got to change, and boom, and so the system knows to update the view at that point. And it also makes it more performant as well. But again, I'm just going to point you to this document to go into the deep. They have a lot of explanations about the whys and the befores and afters, and that's what we're going to do. Is we're just going to do hands-on practical. But let me see. That's using signals, but they had an example here, before and after. Let me slide down a little more. Oh no, that might be. I think that's this other. I've followed another guide here on Angular University. I think that one had the befores and after examples. So typically you set up like you use an HTTP client or something, and you fetch some data and it comes back as an observable. You subscribe to it, or you just leave it as an observable, and you in the view are you all familiar with the async pipe and how that's used to automatically subscribe and render changes from an observable? I mean, that's the Angular that they've built out for the longest time, and that's the direction that it's been ever since Angular 2. And I'll probably muddle some of the terminology, and so feel free to jump in and clarify or correct me. I'll be close, and we'll get through it practically.
And is signals replacing that?
It seems like they're migrating, but you know what? The one thing I haven't figured out though is it seems like with signals you're doing the imperative programming. I mean, I haven't seen. No, you still, well, I don't know. It's just, when you build out your observables, you just in your controller, you just define all these observables and then mutations on them and everything, just as a definition of, what you need from it. And then you just go display it and pick it apart in your view or in some of the downstream. You set up derivatives off the original observable and map off of it and stuff. But it seems like that's something that maybe some of you might be able to help me clarify with. But as what I see it is, signals are they're more for imperative style programming than declarative. But as we get into it, we'll talk about that, and we'll see. And these articles, I'm sure they would also address that in some of the finer details. But excuse me. Let me see. All right, so no, that's still signals. Sorry, got the. I've lost my placeholder here on. Yeah, I've scrolled. I was sat here twiddling my fingers, scrolling down the page here when we need to come right up to the original. Yeah, counter number, increment this counter. Yeah, so this is a real simple component how we're used to doing things, and if you code it, and if you use this style of coding, and then in your template, see the template's right here towards the top. It references counter right here, and this is zone-based old change detection, and it would manage and figure out when it needed to refresh the display on how to when you change this counter right here. So hopefully that looks familiar. That's just real simple, on the button. And in fact, let's code that up. All right, let's start a new Ionic project and then code this part up right here. So I'm going to go out here and I'll get you a better screen here in a second. Clear. And let's go into projects and CD into I got a meetup directory here. All right, so I've got the latest Ionic, and that's 7.2 CLI, which will give us an 8.0 Ionic and Angular 18 app when we run the generate command. So Ionic start, we'll let it ask us all the questions here. I'm not going to use the app creation wizard. We've talked about that before, but it does a few extra things, but it also doesn't do some things we want, like create and standalone project. And my focus tonight is also on a standalone based Angular programming. I'm after, my goal right now is to keep a project as lightweight and simple as possible. A lot of my focus is on new students that are learning Angular and Ionic. And so, okay, let's give it a name here. This is just a simple example of the signals. So we'll just do hello signals. I like it. Signals. Let's do that. And then I'm going to do a blank project, keep it real simple, lightweight. And here's, sorry, I should have made this even bigger. It's given us options to go with the old or with the original NG modules or standalone option. I'm going to go standalone. And when we look at the code, if you have questions on that later, we'll talk about it. We've talked about it before. I want to kind of skip by it right now. But if you're really familiar with module base, which, Angular 2 through 16, and even currently, a lot of people do still prefer module-based Angular programming. So, all right, hello signals, code. Oh wait, before we do the code, I like to always run update, and let me hide that little StreamYard. Where'd you go? npm update. Excuse me. Yes, I use pnpm. Got a P. All right. All right. So that did an update, and I'm going to also open this in. I like to track changes visually with GitHub desktop. So let's go add that repository here so that we can watch what's changing as we go through the different stages. All right. So meetup and hello signals. Open that and add that repository. All right, so here so far, real minor. I did pnpm update, real minor changes. That's nice. It's already v18 on the Angular side, and that's that's important. That's good. I mean, just a month ago it was still 17, and so you had to do a little heavier lifting to get to Angular 18 in your project. So that's excuse me. Dinner's got me a little bit clogged up here. All right, so now let's open up our editor. All right, and yeah, so we've just got our basic project. Now that we got that running, let's load it, look at it with our Ionic serve. I might have a couple tabs already open to port 8100 localhost. Like there's that one. We reuse that. Hard reload. Okay, we got the latest and greatest. Let me make that a little bigger and make that bigger too. All right, so we can get around in here. Okay, let's recreate that old style simple component. We're just going to go into our source, app, home, and let's see, HTML. Yeah, it just has real simple things in here. I'm going to clear out the extra Ionic header. Sorry. All right, and then we have a number that we display. So the counter is at counter. Look at that. See if GitHub Copilot is helpful today. And let's drop a button in, Ion button, increment. So far, so good. I also want to make that button expand across the screen, which is good for mobile. Expand block. And then instead of full screen, well, let's take a look at that. If you're curious, follow along. Yeah, of course they don't exist. Expand block. Oh, yeah, let me get it working and then I'll. All right. So we got counter. Yeah, we don't need that. Counter equals 0, and then increment we need. And, oh, look at that. Just stop and wait for it for a minute. Okay. Now is it running? Look at that. Not pretty, but boom, 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 and it's updating it. So that's zone-based standard Angular change detection, and it renders a change out to the screen. All right, not bad. It's not a bad thing, but when you start getting heavy into some of this, we found, especially with the students, and they've admitted this to the Angular team, that for newer programmers, observables is quite an advanced topic to pick up and learn, and that signals kind of follows the way some of the other frameworks have gone. Vue has refs, and trying to think in React, they just have the you just create effect, right? For reactive data. Yeah. So yeah, so that's
a reaction to the native
yeah, a little bit. It's trying to give a simpler option to those that want it. But for those that do want to go fully declarative, in my opinion, I still want to find some articles that really go into that and solidify that for me. But that's kind of my feel so far. Yeah, if you more signals, no, it's just you just update the data and it will get updated. You're defining it. I mean, so okay, let's go in and do it. And yeah, so I mean, I can come in here in this project right here. I'm running Angular 18. I have access to signals, so I can come in and say counter 2 equals signal. I gotta have it right. There you go, signal 0, and then let's see, increment 2. Look at that. Oh, not value. That's not how you do it. All right, that's kind of a Vue style one. That's totally Vue style. Okay, you do a set, and then this counter 2, not value. It's the getter is just a function call. So signal, to write to it, you do a dot set. To get it, you just do a parentheses. It's like dot get, dot set, but they shorthanded it just to parentheses. That way up here in our UI, and let me finish doing what I was going to do here. I was just going to do a class equals ion padding. That way, when we come back here, it gives us this nice padding around the edge. All right, let's move down the page here a little bit. Let's throw some normal HTML in there. It's not ion BR. It's not. All right. Let's see. The counter 2 is at the counter 2. Now See, we got to go in there and do the same thing. We throw the parentheses in there. And then we want our button to call increment 2. See if that's all right. All right, so now if we come back over here, boom, yeah. So that's using signals. But like I said, it's not using zone change detection. It's using surgical, fully tracked, and it's just more, it's more performant and it's more specific. This user, sometimes the user doesn't care. You know, you don't have to do it this way. You can still do it the old way. But we're going full signals. Okay, that's the this demo. We want to go full signals, and we want to even remove the option to use the old style. So right now, I mean, I can come in here and increment, and I've still got zone running, change detection there. So there's a couple simple changes that we do to cut out the zone. Sorry. So what we do is we go to main TS, and there's another provider here. And I'm sure I've done copy and paste here. I think I have it in this other window, so I'm going to cheat instead of looking it up. There it is right there. Ignore the man behind the curtain. But what we do is we add a provider to our application called Provide Experimental Zoneless Change Detection. And so then we've got to import that. And you know what? Last time I did this, hey, it did it right. Last time it added it as a separate import down here instead of reusing the same one up here. Yeah. All right. So that got us that, but we still have zone.js. It's still loaded. If we go into polyfills here, this is where it's imported from. So I'm going to just comment out both of these zone imports. And then one more thing, because we want this project to truly be zoneless, we come in here and we get rid of zone.js right there. Now, come back here, compile successfully. I'm surprised a little bit, but I'm just going to rerun it so it rebuilds, picks it up again. All right. So, boom, boom. We've got our signals, and up here, that's still working. That surprises me. Okay, let's go in, and I thought that was all I had to do. Totally turn off change detection. But maybe there's a change detection setting also. But we're no longer. Oh, I know what I didn't do. Let's go back out, kill that, and do a npm install to get rid of zone.js. But again, that functionally it's still running. Okay. All right. Well, I'll figure out, or we will figure out tonight, how to make that so it just stops working. And it's probably just doing one of the changing the change detection on this page, and defining what it should be, and completely turn off the old change detection. Yeah, that's my understanding, is that once you do turn it off, then you don't have the zone-based change detection anymore. So we'll dig into why that's still working. All right, so that's the fundamentals of one simple variable. Let me close these project files so we just have our component here. But you can also do, let's do a, sorry, let me see, I'll do address. That's a very common compound variable. Signal 121 Main Street. No, we're going to get more complex than that. There we go. So street, let's put a number on there. Let's be half civilized. Now, which state? There's so many Springfields. Let's see. Wait, Illinois. All right. Well, we're letting it pick. All right. So that, again, this is how you use it with objects or even arrays. We can have a user list equals signal, and typically you come in and you just say it's an array of something. You want to give it types. Angular does push it to type everything, but yeah, usually you initialize it and then you make an HTTP call, get your data, display it. You update the variable with that data. But just for today, we're just going with simple static data. All right, that looks good to me. Alice, Bob, and Charlie. So now we've got those. We can just go into our template and reference them. Just like you would a variable, but you use the parenthesis notation to get to them. So let's come down here and do an ion list. All right, and then what's it doing? Line item of items. All right. How about item of user list? And we call it with parentheses, but we'll call this user. Try to use a little bit of good naming here, but not just drop user in here, but let's put user dot, was it name, I think? Was that one of the, yeah, name and age. All right, let me see, what was that just in that's in an item. Let's put that in a p tag. I think Ionic likes that for the main text. Now let's go look at that. We've got an issue. Oh, NG4. We need the common module for NG4. So now that we're not, if you're familiar with that, sometimes you just add it up the root of your whole project and just bring in common for your NGFs, your NG4s, and all that. But when you're standalone, bring it in to each component. And so let's see, imports. Okay, import. That's let me start it up here because that part I know. Actually, we got Angular core up here already. Common. No, it's in a different package, isn't it? Okay. Common module. There it is from Angular Common. Yeah. All right. And then seems like we put it in the providers array. Is that right?
It's still an import.
It's just an import, huh? The actual module or the
Module.
The module is okay. Thank you. Module like that. Remove this unused. Okay, it's updating. It took it a second. If we got, look at that. We got our list. Alice, Bob, and Charlie listing out there. So that data using signals.
So you,
Yeah.
you really don't provide any keys to your items list.
It's still recommended. I do know that. Yeah. Well, with those, since they would have an ID, right? They would have an ID or a key, and we would use that preferably. But for quick sakes here, is it with the new syntax? Is it track by, or is it like that? Track ng4 track by. Now that's the whole. Yeah, so that's going to give us the whole.
It's track by with a capital B.
Okay, just right. So track
Yep, so semicolon.
by. It is a semicolon. Huh?
Yep.
Okay.
A semicolon. track by colon the name of the function that returns the unique identifier.
Okay. All right.
I'm
So
not sure it'll
user
allow
dot
anonymous functions.
name. Oh, it's got to. Come on. Track by just like that.
Yeah.
Semicolon.
But it has to be a function that you pass to it.
Uh-huh.
And just the template doesn't allow anonymous functions.
All right. But can we define a regular function here? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just like that? Or does it have to be truly a name?
Every example I've ever seen is a named function in the component.
Okay. All right. No, I just did one, I swear, last month that had it. Yeah, let me grab this other. I'm just gonna check real quick because I don't want to go down that path if I don't have to. It's heavy syntax, right? I'm after the light syntax. And this is
You could use control flow instead of star ng4.
right. All right, let me look at this. Home tab does have a user list, and I don't have a track by on it. Thought I did on that one. And then here's another static let. Yeah, I don't have them in these others. What would we do? Did we throw some tabs?
Maybe this is where
Let post this. Yeah, I haven't putting the track by in the last couple demos I've done. I thought I did. So
I'm with you though. I swear I've used it with the property before. I think it may have just been a string that I packed in. But
yeah, or an attribute of the user.
Control flow syntax supports that, and that was one of the biggest complaints with star ng4 is that it didn't allow you to specify a simple key. So control flow, they made that a feature up front.
All right, so if we do, let's just jump in and do that. Control flow. Is it %?
@.
That's the @sign.
@4.
4. And we're not going to get Angular 18 help on this. Well, I've got all the plugins enabled. Let's see. Restart GPT.
Might be thrown off by that angle bracket. 923.
Just okay. 4, and then it is
Parenthesis. Item of items.
okay.
User of user list.
User list. And then that's parentheses.
Semicolon.
Track.
User.name.
By user.
It doesn't have the word by.
Doesn't have by in
just
it.
Track.
Track. Okay, now it's going to complain because I know I have to do an end. But is it?
It's curly braces to mark the beginning and end of the block.
Yeah. Oh, and that's it. There's no N4. Yeah, it's just okay. Hey,
That should look exactly the
look
same.
at that. No squigglies. No squigglies. All right, that's good because I do want to use the later latest control flow. All right. Yeah. Well, and you do a map, right, on your arrays. You map.
Yeah, and I map out the components, and then each of the components, I have the property key equals, and then I set the key.
Yeah.
So I like to do a function that
Mhm.
maps through and returns an array of components.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. All right. So this is how we do that. And again, we could have done it with the ng4 with the track by function and all that. But all right. So we've got. I mean, what other piece of data? The address. I mean, I don't feel like we need to show how to do that. But you just, I mean, it does look a little bit funky because you come out and you say address function and then dot, street, and then, the full address there. So if we go out there, see 123 Main thrown on here. And again, let me put my spacers here just to get it down on its own little section. Yeah, so that's the main use of signals. So that's the signals, and then the two related options that you have are computed and effect. And so, in the age-old example of that is you come in here and you define, let's see, the computed. It's a definition. We can probably do it anywhere, but let's jump over to the doc here. It shows the signal version of its counter, and then modify the value with a setter. There's also an optional update function you can call. So like we said, it's like that's the set versus update.
The update takes the getter.
It takes the original value. It gives you the original value as the first parameter, or input. So computed. So you just set up a variable. It's computed that takes a function, and then whatever, then you reference one of the signals from within the computed. So let's say we'll just double equals computer, and look at that, counter times 2. All right, and then we want to output double. Now double, I believe, it works just like right here, the derived. So you reference it the same way as a signal. It looks just like it. So you call it like a function. So double, let's put double up here. The double of counter 2 is double counter 2. No, it's not what we called it. What we call it? Double, just double? Yeah, don't like that. That's a type, right? Double counter 2. Okay, counter 2. Yeah. Okay, it's all defined up there. Yeah, and I would probably move this up just to live right by its origin. Double counter 2. And then we look at that on our view. It's 7 o'clock. All right, so double, okay, the counter is at 1, and the double is not working. All right, let's figure that. Oh, this return.
It's not using the counter signal.
Right. Thank you. This counter 2. Counter 2 is our signal-based counter. Without the number is the original. All right.
So the computed is your closest equivalent to the chaining operations in
Yeah, or effects or
reactive.
or Angular 1 watches. Why do I bring that up? Because I still live in Angular 1. Some of my work. It's like a watcher. Anything in the body will trigger. It'll trigger the update.
Wiring it up. So if you have any dependent signals.
Yep.
Or any dependent. So computed is a derivation of signal, and so anything that's going to require a signal as an input for the value needs to come as computed.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But like, money stuff, right? You have your tax bracket coming in, your taxing or your tax rate coming in, your price, you got your sum, you got your,
So the
you
signal
compute
is
all that and
the
then
signal is the atomic. The computed is a
derivative data. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so that's computed. And then you see, they cover a lot of stuff in there. Let me jump back over to this one. Okay, signals, updating signals. Some points in here, they need to be immutable. That's best practices. Yeah, when you do a set, it creates a whole new object, basically. Effects need, nah, we don't need to worry about that. Advanced writing signals and effects. So here we go. This to set from this from. So this sounds like a map thing where you're going from point A to point B, or from to. And so yeah, so they're updating to when from gets updated. All right. Oh, but this would cause an error. Yeah, there's no signal setting allowed in effects, and that's what they're pointing out right here. They're trying to show you, like, let me see writing signals. So yeah, they tell you how to do it and say don't do it, but yeah, you don't want to do that. That's poor programming. And async effects. They support async as well. But so effects, let's go write an effect in here. So that's where you got a bunch of code that you're gonna so okay, so let's just read this and understand it here. It's getting these two signals. So when either one of them change, this effect will fire and it will set the flights. So you got a flight array, and so when either one of these two change, then this will trigger an HTTP request, and go search the flights, bring it, get them back to me, and then set them to your local flight signal array. I can't think of a search. So I see here too that they're using it to, whenever there's a change to one of them, that it automatically calls the search function. But there's no built-in support for debouncing, which if you're hitting the network, you want to debounce. So you're not requesting every key press. All right, so change detection, going into it there. But I don't know, did anybody think of an example of an effect that we could write? And this is just written as effect. Console log counter 2 changed. That works. That's funny. Is this, what's it complaining about? Oh, this. No, that's what we got to do.
Missing a parenthesis on 19.
Yeah. Okay. Close off the effect. Oh, and
Is this in the Lambda going to be?
it should be the component. Thank you. Yep. We do need to import it. Right here. It wasn't letting me do it automatically, so we'll just. And
You may have to give it a field name since you're putting it in the initializers, not in the constructor.
a field name.
But you can't just have raw code sitting in the middle of the class. more JavaScript limitation than a.
Well, but I thought it was just defined at that level, but it's okay. No, yeah, you're saying that.
You can't put imperative code at that layer.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. There you go. So here, let's affect anything. That's so that I guess that means any changes at all in any signals will trigger a search. Okay, but let's do that. Let's move it to the constructor or the ng on init, and let's clean up our code. And okay, gonna go look at our output here. Okay, yeah, well, we created a console log, yeah. So whenever counter 2 changes now, it changed to 0, and the initial state does get logged there. So now we update it, and it's changed. Boom, boom. All right. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. That makes sense. I bounce around a little bit between Vue and Angular 1, and forget I'm not. It's not running that code there, and that is a function call. Now I wonder. I'm curious because I know you can also, just like an event handler, you can also assign it to something. What if we had a effect 1? Let's do that. Equals. Does it? Oh, const. Again, I'm living in a different language world, so that I guess that would work because we're signing it in, but is it actually activated? Yeah, it's logging it. Okay, so that's a way you could pull it out into your. When you pull, and in my mind, declarative programming, the more you can pull out and just define and not be run inside the constructors and the handlers and stuff like that, the more declarative it is. Well, all right. So any questions or follow up on what we've done with that? I kind of glossed over it. I didn't stop you. Some of you asked questions along the way. I appreciate that. But anything on the effects of the computed or? Yeah.
Maybe just a general question about best practices of data models in Angular.
Mm-hmm.
Are people using any kind of relational mapping frameworks or generators off of Swagger, or what are people using to?
Mm-hmm.
What are people using to not do this?
Yeah. In the projects, in the small projects, side projects that I've been doing, just not for clients or anything, I just would define a class.
Yeah, for trivial
I would
data
just do
models.
I would define a class and then type it that way. But I don't know, what you guys have any input on that? What preferred way to pull types in and use them?
I mean, that's where some of the backend stuff comes in. JS, doing data models, happen to these type stuff like Mongo.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking like some of the Swagger generators where you can take your open API documents and create some JavaScript models, but I haven't, at least back when I was doing primarily front-end development, I didn't see anything that I loved that would generate
Yeah.
your
What-
component phrases like this.
Let me see on Yeah, I'm trying to think of the podcast here. Syntax podcast. They talk about Prisma. I think it's Prisma that they like a lot.
Or it'll generate 20 different versions of the model. Likewise. For better or for worse.
Right.
The Prisma is more going to be on your back end,
Back-end
and talking to the
user.
relational database.
Yeah, and yeah, because
And they'll do the TypeScript because somebody's using Node on the back end. That's.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I've used
Yep.
Prisma, it's just been, here's a bunch of Prismas up for backend, and then here's a common folder that has like the official type, or the GTO type, or whatever you want to call that, that you could use on the front end as well. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So that one's recommended. I have no idea if it
for backend, but, yeah, of course,
is it fee based or is it open source.
It's Prisma what?
Is it open source? Is it?
It's open source, but it's free to use, so yeah, I've used it.
Yeah.
And they're getting better. For what
Is Prisma ORM and ORM? All right, pricing. So yeah, they got some. We won't go into that, but yeah, because they were talking. I'm listening to one from about a week ago on syntax.
What's the name of the podcast?
It's Syntax FM. Yeah, and the one from, let me see which one it is here. It's 779, episode 779, and they're talking about SQLite, and they have two SQLite developers on the podcast, and they said that it has a Prisma interface, and they were excited about that because they use that for their Syntax FM site. And
One, I guess, shortcut you could do if you're in VS Code. If you ever have a Prisma type that is generated, you can actually copy the declaration of the type, assuming it's not like more than 5 or 6 properties, and you could go that route, but it doesn't say that.
gotcha. Yeah. Or you do :any, and it's
I've got a friend who's got strong opinions about.
Oh, yeah.
how stuff should work.
yeah.
Um,
No, if you're building something up commercially, then yeah, definitely want types and type safety. If you want point or a proof of concept or MVP, something real fast, then just run it with the any's and know what you're getting and throw it together. Yeah.
In the article, they talk at all about unit tests and signals, and the zones were always, that's where Angular had their whole box.
Let me post.
Handle all that because we had to run.
Yeah. Let me post these two articles here. Here are the 2 articles.
It does look like an improvement. Simplifying things.
Yeah. And this one. And I looked around some other sites too, but these are the ones that really have all the meat that you need. So testing, yeah, test. Latest. Not that one. No. So yeah, these articles don't cover testing, but the probably further along in the, like here on the Angular architects. There was an article I saw. What was it? It tied. You're tying your signals to your state. With ng XS. XS is one, but that's not the more common one. What's ng RS? Not the
NGRX.
That's the reactive library, right?
That's RxJS.
RxJS. Okay, thank you. That's my mind right there. I'm going, and a lot of people have talked about that, but NGRX, the state system, and then there's also XS. It's a little lighter weight and has a little simpler syntax, but there were some articles showing how to use them with signals, and then I remember they covered testing on that too. So I mean, let me Google that. Angular signals. RxJS testing. How do I test signals? That one's on Medium. So probably can't get the whole article here. I read too many already. No, it's letting me. Yeah, so yeah, testing. Is that the? So there's an article on that just from March. I can drop that also in the comments.
I'm not seeing anything official from Angular about testing with signals. They have a little bit on using zoneless in your tests, which is just provide experimental zoneless change detection.
Yeah.
I would imagine, though, given the nature of signals, it would be less boilerplate because you don't have to control the zone. You don't have to trigger change detection.
Mm-hmm.
You can just read and write the signals as if they were primitives.
Yeah.
All right, so that wraps up what I had on signals. So I'm curious now if unless you have other tangents or related things to go down, I'd like to figure out why that original counter was still working after it took zones out of the project. And once you took zones out, you lost. Not legacy, just the original change detection. Wholesale just lost it all, but we're still getting the updates
because you were changing it inside of a template callback, which is one of the few places zone didn't need to be.
Really? So just because of the context and the just being in the component here?
Yep. Looking over requirements for zoneless compatibility, one of the notifications that can trigger change detection, even without the use of Zone.js, is when you're executing a callback from the template.
Yeah.
So because you were changing counter inside of it, you had the increment method bound to a button.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all here. Interesting. So you just found the answer to that somewhere? Or?
Yeah, just on
Angular.
On the official docs for zoneless.
Yeah.
If you were to make a different example where instead of a button,
Mm-hmm.
it just counted up every second, you would find that the signal-based one still works while the regular version doesn't.
All right, that sounds like an exercise or a challenge. Let's do that. Let's so just like a set timeout.
Yeah, let's do a set interval.
Set interval. Yeah, not just one. And so this dot increment, that's the original counter.
Yep.
Okay, and every, let's do half a second. I'm not patient enough for a whole second. All right, and so that might not be incrementing. Hard reload, not incrementing. Or it's not rendering the change because it is incrementing. Okay, how about, okay, there you go. That's now what happens when I click this button. Yeah, it's going to catch up. It's going to render it because we actually triggered it in the button. Interesting. Okay.
And now if you go back to that set interval and change it to increment 2,
yeah,
you should see the signal-based counter working as expected.
Yeah. All right. And yes, I listen to my podcast on 2-speed. No, 1.25. All right. Yep. Okay. Great. I appreciate that. That's exactly what we wanted to kind of figure out. So makes me, okay. I still don't have my head fully wrapped around what is going to trigger it and what isn't, because we've got a set interval and why is it, what about the button being tied to it? Because it's in the template? Because the template
It's because
is what's
it's a-
being rendered.
It's a template listener callback. So Angular's the one who actually wired that callback.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was super easy for
Okay.
Angular to just slip in and change detection.
So I would say anything coming, anything coming from the template.
Yeah, the official docs say that there are 5 different things that can trigger a view update even when you're running zoneless.
Okay, cool.
When you explicitly call change detector mark for check, when you explicitly call component ref.set input, when you update a signal that's being used in the template,
Yeah.
a bound host or template listener callback, or attaching a view that was marked dirty.
Yeah. So manual work to flag it. And interesting. Okay. Because as we were talking about it, it was making me think, so why do we want to use signals? Why don't we just, well, because if it's an HTTP call, then,
An HTTP call, an observable firing,
yeah,
none of those fall into that category. Those
Yeah.
are asynchronous. They're happening in
Yeah.
different contexts.
yeah. So template related events and handlers. And okay.
So to oversimplify, would you consider signals that are for front-end UX usability kinds of interactions and observables better for the data sync on the back end?
I don't know. I personally would rather use Axios or you know what I'm saying? I would rather write observables off. Me personally. And there's other people that feel that way, but it's a little of a bit of an anti-Angular statement. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine if I'm working in a project that is observable based, then I will follow that code style and practices and everything. But yeah, 99% of the time, I just want to take, what does it take one? I just want to not the first item, but I just want to get the result once, and then I'm done. I don't need it left open for more data while the view is displayed. But, all right, awesome. Appreciate that. That helps wrap up the open questions. And yeah,